From Knoxville's historic sites to modern-day celebrations, a local cultural center is working to connect national history with hometown stories. With more, here's 10 News producer Lexi Martin.
161 years ago, enslaved people in Galveston, Texas were told they were free more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But here in Knoxville, historians say they tell Black stories every day.
Everybody's legacy is important. We want to write those stories because it's going to inspire the next generation.
At the Beck Cultural Exchange Center, leaders are working to bring hometown stories forward. Here in Knoxville, enslaved people worked in homes, farms, ironworks, and construction. Our region's topography means slavery looked different than in other places in the South.
It's still going to be slavery. It's just going to look different because of East Tennessee and the area.
Leaders like Reverend Renee Kessler are working to connect national figures like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass to local names and places left out of history books. One of those places is just a 10-minute car ride away from our station.
It's actually not only the site of the oldest Black church in Knoxville, it's the site you can deduce based on the fact that it was a church. It's the site of what would then be the Underground Railroad. So typically the Underground Railroad is going to go through communities wherever there's a church. That's where you're going to find your safe space.
Warner Tabernacle Church is an example of how Black churches across East Tennessee served as more than just places of worship. They were centers for education, politics, and survival during slavery and Reconstruction. And today, leaders say remembering that history is just as important as celebrating it.
They still had hope, and yet they still did this. Even knowing how this is probably how it's going to end, they did something bigger than self, recognizing and realizing that I may not even live to see this very change I'm trying to impact, but it's worth it to know you did, right?
That message carries into this year's Juneteenth celebrations in Knoxville and beyond as leaders work to preserve Black stories.
We struggle, even today. Right now, we're about to commemorate 250 years of this country's founding. There's so much still to learn. So we commemorate, we learn, we remember, we reflect, we discuss, and then we celebrate together as a community. Yeah.
And while the date, June 19th, may be rooted in Texas's history, leaders here say the story of emancipation and the work of remembering it still belongs to East Tennessee. In Knoxville, I'm Lexi Martin.
Juneteenth became a federal holiday in 2021, but historians say Black communities have celebrated the day for generations through gatherings, parades, church events, and family reunions that help preserve the story of emancipation.